Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to wire wrap a crystal in a spiral bound style, and I've just added a little charm for extra decoration at the bottom. This includes making your own veil as well at the top. Alright, if you're interested, let's get started. Okay, to start out with, I have my green aventurine crystal stone right here. It'll focus. And the important part is it really doesn't matter like what kind of stone you have as long as it's a crystal structure. But the important part is having a hole drilled through the side of it right there, at least for the technique that I'm going to be showing you. With my wire, I have 18 gauge titanium. It's from Parawire. As you can see, it's a lot darker than regular silver. And my weaving wire is 26 gauge silver. I just really like the contrast between the two colors. The silver pops against the titanium right there. And this is Artistic Wire brand. I just got it from like Hobby Lobby or Michael's. It was right down the road for me, but you can definitely order the same color in Parawire. A lot of people do like to use 20 gauge instead of 18 gauge. 18 is just a little bit thicker than 20 gauge, but you can use whatever you like really. Alright, so to get started, I've pulled off about 1.5 feet of this titanium 18 gauge wire right here. And what I'm going to do is slide my crystal in the middle of it right there. That's about the middle of my wire. And I'm just going to take, whoops, let me get back on camera. I'm just going to take the two sides and kind of pinch this wire together towards the top of my crystal. There we go. Just pinch it like that. And once I have it together as tight against the top as I want it, then I'm going to grab either side. Sorry, it's not focusing very well. There we go. Grab either side and just twist. So it'll look like that. Okay, and this is where I'm actually going to be making the bail of the crystal. So I'm going to put these right here like that. And for my weaving wire, I've pulled off maybe 3.5, 4 feet. And as you can tell, this crystal is pretty small. I definitely don't need 3.5, 4 feet of wire, but I've run out before and had to add wire on, and it was not a very pretty process. You definitely do not want to run out of wire. You can just leave it on the spool without cutting it off like I did. However, I find it's easier to work with if you go ahead and cut it off. That's just my personal preference. When I have it on the spool a lot, sometimes the spool falls over and the wire gets all tangled up. But anyway, I can show you an example actually of what happens when you run out of wire. This is a previous crystal that I weaved the other day. And this row right here, the coils are nice and tight. The wire looks pretty decent. And then there's this row. And obviously you can tell that's where I ran out of wire. It does not look as great as the previous one right there. So you don't want to run out of wire, or else you'll have to add in more. And I don't know, if you have a method to use to add in more wire that doesn't look as bad as this, please share it in the comments so that I know. But that's just me adding in wire and cinching it down right there. Okay, so like my crystal that I just showed you, the wire weaving method that I'm going to be using, I'm just going to, wrap this little hole right here, twisting this wire around the base wire. Sorry, my wire is scratching against everything. I'm sure it sounds horrible. Okay. I'm just gonna cinch that down actually. Hold it better. Okay, whatever. Okay, holding my wire right there, I'm going to take my 26 gauge silver and wrap it around the titanium, pulling nice and tight. 2, 3 times. And every time I do that, I want to make sure that the wire is pushed down right there. And I'm just going to come across this wire to the other side. All right, and I am going to wrap this side 3 times now. So that's 1, pinch it down, 2, pinching it down, 3, and my wire's on the back side now, so I'm coming across again, and I'm going to the other side and wrapping it. 1, 2, the same side, pinching it down, 3, and then I'm coming across to the other side again. And this is the pattern that I'm going to be using for the veil. Just 3 times on one side, come across, 3 times on the other side. And all the while that you're doing this, just make sure to pinch down that wire, to slide it down nice and neat. Now, I have pretty long fingernails, so it's definitely easy for me, but you can use your pliers if you would like. And actually, I'm using these right here. I use them to cinch things. The other 2 types of pliers, I did mention this earlier, are these right here. We're going to be using them later. I use my wire cutters to originally cut off my wire. Okay. And I'm just going to keep on weaving this right here, and it'll look a lot neater the more that you do it. But as you can see, when you come across, it makes kind of like a ladder pattern. And I'm going to weave to about maybe right here. And once I weave to that spot, I'll come back and show you guys what I have. Alright, so as you can see, I have finished weaving up until this point. And it's also a little bit wonky, but that's okay. Every piece of art is an individual in its own special way. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my pliers, and again, this is the bell for my stone. And if you're doing this along with a tutorial, you may notice that the stone is really loose. The crystal is dangling like that, and that's all right. We're going to fix that in just one moment. So I'm going to take my pliers and make sure I hold the stone tight in between my fingers. Holding the stone, take my pliers, I'm going to just bend them forward a little bit. There, you see that? Bending them forward. And then I'm going to carefully bend them back as well. So just bending the wires back. Sorry, I don't know if you can see this very well. And I want the back of it to come against the back of my stone. I've decided this is going to be the front, I guess. Or maybe that'll be the front, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to keep just bending this back until it is flat against the stone. There we go. Okay. Alright, so this is what it looks like right now. This is going to be the bail. A little bit messy, but again, each piece of art is unique. And with the back, this is where we're going to be focusing next. I still have plenty of wire left, hopefully. I'm going to choose one piece of wire and just coil it. I'm going to show you this previous piece that I did, basically just copying the same thing that I did before. One piece of base wire is going to be coiled all the way around, and the other piece is going to be bare. If you'd like, you can weave these together. I think that might actually look really nice. But for now, for this tutorial, I'm just going to be copying the same piece, at least the style of it. And to do so, let's see, I'm going to take this wire right here, the one on the right side, the one that the weaving wire is attached to. Just kind of separate the wires out a little bit, and I'm just going to coil my wire around the base wire. This is very time consuming if you do it by hand. Personally, I like doing it by hand, even though it does take up a lot of time. And I just want to make sure as I go to just push those wires together, make sure that the coils are nice and tight for the best look, because that's what I'm going for. So I've finished using all of my weaving wire, my 26 gauge, and I've woven it and coiled it across one of the bare wires. And what I've done, I've just taken it and like kind of pushed it up against the bail right here. And it looks kind of funky right now, but don't worry. It'll hopefully look better in the end. So now I'm going to finish off the bail. And what I'm going to do is take my wires and, holding my stone, just twist them around. And it's good to take your time with this, because definitely want it to turn out halfway decent. So, twisting it. And now what I want to do is add the decoration to the crystal. So I'm going to take my coiled wire and just spin it around the crystal. And I'll have the bare wire follow. But for now, I'm just spinning this around. And I actually definitely could have used more wire, more weaving wire, but that's okay. Now I'm going to be taking the bare wire and just following along where I twisted that copper wire, or that coiled wire, excuse me. Just right underneath it. And it can be really close up, or it can be spaced out a little bit. That's up to you. I actually like the look of it being a little bit spaced out. Just coil it right here. Okay. So this is where my wire runs out. And as you can see, I have a whole lot more base wire left, and that's okay. You can trim it off and definitely use it for later. It doesn't have to be thrown away. There's so much you can do with this length of wire. And what I like to do is I'm going to cut this one, my bottom base wire, a little bit shorter than the top one, because I'm going to curl the top one. You'll see in one moment. So I'm using my wire cutters, just cutting it right there. And I'm going to do the same with the top one, maybe leaving it a little bit longer, just a tad bit longer. Snipping it off. Yeah, it would have been nice if I had a little bit more wire right there. That's okay. I got what I got. So now I'm going to use these. And I'm just twisting it around. You can really decorate it however you want. But I'm going to be doing a simple little swirl if I can grasp my wires. There we go. just kind of curling it in. Ugh. Taking it on the very tip and just curling it in like this. There we go. And just flatten that down a little bit. Flatten it. And definitely, I don't want that to snag on me. So I'm just gonna curl it a little bit more. I've got the coil to where I want it to be, right here. It's cinched down so that way it won't like poke anybody or snag on anything. And I also have a little charm. It's a little moon charm. And I think I want to place it right there. Just for extra decoration. So I'm going to be holding it with my wire cutters just to open it up. Open up the jump ring that it's on. There we go. I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna take my flat nose and just twist it. So that opens up the jump ring. Now that's open. I can just slide it. Alright, here is the finished product. It's very simple. It's not that hard to do, not that complicated. I would suggest definitely using a lot more wire than what I used right there. Again, I'll show you this previous one. I used a whole lot more wire. I did have to add wire in, but it really gave it a nice effect. Having a lot of spirals. Yeah, super simple necklace, not hard to do. Charm really adds character to it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you're trying this at home, I hope that you're very successful for it, and I would love to see your efforts. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to reply to every single one of them. I'll definitely check them out. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.